Hello everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to another speed build for the Disney Save. Today we are going to be working on a Lion King themed community lot. This is a nightclub that is based after the Lion King. It's called The Watering Hole and the theme is outdoorsy, Pride Rock inspired. A lot of those same vibes that I did over at Pride Rock where I tried to really minimalize the usage of modern furniture, keep it aesthetically within like the lion, tiger stripes, animal print territory, something that looks like it could almost organically exist inside the Lion King universe and be exactly what it is, the watering hole, which is such a central point of community inside animal universes. Water is life, water is where animals all have to come and be and thrive together, and you will often see references to animals gathered around a watering hole as a way of like communicating community and a sense of liveliness and fun, and it's just like a natural theme that comes within the Lion King universe that makes just so much sense to translate into a physical lot inside my Lion King neighborhood here. This is the area of the map that I keep telling you guys about. It's the upper left-hand neighborhood in Oasis Springs, and it is so green and luscious and absolutely beautiful, and also became the biggest point of contention as far as filling this world and figuring out how I was going to do Oasis Springs. This neighborhood was the toughest part because I didn't expect it to be so green. I was really expecting this world to be just a desert. That's how it looks on the overhead map. That's what I thought it was in my head. And as somebody that doesn't really play in Oasis Springs very often, or hasn't really at all, to be honest with you guys, I just wasn't expecting it to be so green and luscious because that's just not how it looks. So then when I went into the planning process for this world, I was surprised and immediately like, oh, I can't do an elephant graveyard over here. It's not going to look very good, and I can't do this and I can't do that. The lots in this neighborhood additionally are also not super big. The one that we are working on currently is one of the bigger ones, and then there are two off to the left that are super small. They might even be 20 by 15s, and there's one across the way that I think is the exact same size as this. So none of them were going to fit Pride Rock necessarily. They weren't going to fit the elephant graveyard, and they weren't going to fit any big ideas that I needed them to fit. So I ended up brainstorming for a while and trying to come up with what can I do with this area that is Lion King themed, because it's such a big important film in Disney. I really wanted to do a big set of lots to represent it and fill out this world and give so much to do that is catered around the Lion King. It's also one of my personal favorites, so it gets a little bit more treatment, similar to Hercules, similar to The Little Mermaid. My faves are going to get a couple of extra lots. I get to make those kinds of decisions. So we have a whole area. I want it to be Lion King themed. Doing a watering hole is something that has been brought up routinely with my patrons. My husband brought it up and it just makes perfect sense. We'll do this giant pool-based lot where all the animal characters can come together for a nightclub party scene. And I was actually specifically saving a lot of these animal statues that you might have thought, why didn't you put those over on Pride Rock? Being the giraffe statues that are children's toys, you can size those up and make them look like actual giraffes, which I have done before way back on the Dumbo lots, if you remember. And other newer ones that we have in game now, there are a set of hippos that came from Lovestruck, and the way I was just so excited when I saw those, because they're literally for me. This is what I'm telling you guys, that they're paying attention, because why, oh why did they include something like that if not for me? They are these hippo statues. They're not meant to float on the water, but immediately when I saw them, I was like, I could just size those up and have them float on the water, and they will be perfect for future Lion King builds. So we can have some hippos on this lot. Peafowl as well, flamingos as well. We don't have all of the animals of Africa that I could place here. I didn't really have a good one for like a elephant, for example. I'll be keeping an eye out for stuff in the future that I can use to add in addition to like a couple more animals and things on the lot. But I think when you think of Pride Rock, you might think of the scene in the beginning of the movie when all the animals are coming together to greet and celebrate King Simba's birth. So when I made Pride Rock, you could picture it that way, with all the animals kind of gathered around the outside of Pride Rock. And I even thought about doing that originally, but it got moved over to this lot because they can serve more as decoration in a way that makes sense. This is a nightclub, so you might see something a little bit more like this in like a nightclub commercial setting versus somebody's residential with just like these giant giraffe statues that are static kind of standing around. It doesn't cater over as well. It doesn't work as well. So here it makes a lot more sense. It can fit into the decor in a way. And what I actually did for this big rock structure in the back, I know it looks like a little bit of a mess, and I said that to my patrons when I was posting some early screenshots of this build, because I think when you just see pictures of it, it doesn't really fully make sense, or it's just like a clutter of rocks, so it's a little bit hard to look at. It's a little bit of an eyesore, but I did the cave theme over on the Pride Rock build, and I think if you do have to have an indoor structure for this, which you really kind of do because it's a nightclub, you're probably going to have to rebuild a cave. So I rebuilt this cave, or I made like a wall, an actual indoor structure, and then I wanted to completely cover the wall with rocks in a still really playable way. It makes the inside of this a little bit claustrophobic, a little organic looking. It's not a perfectly shaped room. It was difficult to furnish for that reason as well. But to be honest with you, the idea of the nightclub is that you would spend most of the time outside. This bar is really just to go in, get your drink, and then go back outside, play around the pool, do water activities. There's seating outdoors, and the party is really outside, which is okay. But you do have to have this indoor structure for things like bathrooms, things that maybe make more sense to put inside. Like I want to hide the bar in a sense, so I put it inside the cave. And I did do a dance floor in there. I did some other like music related things inside there as well, so your Sims can go in there and party. The whole thing functions. You can use it however you really want to, but my thought was that that was just like a quick place to go in and grab a drink. So the rocks almost don't really matter. And your Sims will be fine as far as navigation goes. A lot of those rocks are debugged, so they largely ignore them when they're walking around as far as pathing goes. And it helps make the lot look less modern, because what I didn't want to do for this was create like a hut or any type of modern looking structure. I will be doing that for the next build. There was something that I basically couldn't get away with in terms of making like a more modern looking building, but I wanted at least one Lion King lot that didn't really have anything modern about it, or at least those modern elements are sort of hidden, and it resembles Pride Rock a lot in that case. They kind of go as like a pair to one another, as would make sense being a watering hole. There are some hidden things in the rock structure, especially on the roof part, that are like mini Pride Rock variants, or it's supposed to be inspired by Pride Rock as far as the way that I've actually laid the rocks down, especially in the roofing area. It also utilizes a lot of those similar decor pieces that I used in Pride Rock as well. I did animal skin rugs. I did some of these leaf wall items that come from the Eco Lifestyle pack. They're a part of the debug catalog. I think you can actually physically make them. Some furniture that isn't as like comfy, no real blankets and pillows, but actual wood and stone and rock structures that the characters would sit on because they're animals at the end of the day. I'm also debating if I should have, because with my save file, one of the things I utilize is movie clubs. And movie clubs are basically just all of the characters from a given movie, and they're put together in a club so that it's easy to gather characters, especially if I have townies in the save or lots of characters from a given movie, but they don't live on any residential lots and you want to bring them all together for storytelling purposes. You can hit the start a gathering button and it'll drive in all of the characters from the same movie. For the most part, I've been able to make one club for basically every single movie and keep everything really tight together. But one of those things that you get to pick is where are we going to have the club hang out? And for a lot of them, it's super obvious. But for this one, I'm thinking, should I do Pride Rock or should I do this watering hole? Because it's more than just the characters that live on Pride Rock, but not by too much. Like, it's really just going to be Rafiki, who will be in an upcoming video, as well as their residential. But I also would include Mufasa in that, and he's going to be a townie, so it would be an easy way to gather those characters together. And I don't know if it makes more sense for them to gather at the watering hole or gather at Pride Rock, because that's where most things happen. And Scar will be added in there additionally later when I add him in from a future world that I'm going to be doing. So let me know your thoughts. Should we do the watering hole or should we do Pride Rock down below? Someone asked me in a recent video as well, like a little comment that I want to address regarding the in-system calendar that comes from seasons. A lot of people actually asked me this question, but they had asked and it just kind of like jogged my memory regarding it. I will be changing the calendar in the Disney save in regards to Disney related things. I would like to actually revamp the entire calendar and just completely redo all of the holidays and everything that comes up on the calendar with new Disney based holidays, especially if any of the Disney Disney films feature holidays that don't really exist in real life but are canon to like a given universe, like special holidays. I can't even think of any off the top of my head, but I know there has to be a couple of movies that feature specific holidays that are only in that given universe, and I want to add those onto the calendar and customize all of that good stuff. But it's gonna take a lot of research for me to find all of those and think of all of those and brainstorm with patrons as well, because they're super helpful when it comes to general Disney knowledge and stuff like that. I also want to edit and add a few, like Cinco de Mayo, add some things that are obviously real holidays and traditions that we celebrate in real life but are not featured on the calendar as far as I'm aware in the holiday system of seasons. So that will be coming. It's just not something that I've gotten around to. It's kind of low on my tier list, but people bring it up to me frequently enough and want to know about it, so I figured I would just mention it now. The plan is actually to change and customize pretty much everything with the save. I know I do a lot of building and remaking townies and replacing NPCs and then doing just like general creative sims, but I would like to get to everything eventually. So all hidden lots, all special lots, all of those get to work, like hospital, police station, custom job lots, or those lots you can go to where you can actually play your given career. I plan to edit and change all of those. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. The vacation worlds I will also be doing. I do have enough worlds in the roster at this point, as far as completed worlds that I've fully finished, that I feel like I can start getting to some of those tasks. Before, I just didn't have enough worlds done that I felt comfortable straying away. I always feel like I'm not going fast enough. I know this is like a really long, tedious process, and that's kind of the point, and I get to hang out with you guys and make content and make it something that I make so much a part of my life, so it's really cool in that aspect. But I just want a lot more of it done than I can ever possibly have the time to do. I wish I could just sit and work on this all day, but even if I did, I would burn myself out so bad. So it's good that it takes so long, but it also means like waiting for those little details. The last thing I really focused on here was the pool. I wanted to do a little bit of waterfalls and some diving platforms and things, but I didn't want to focus too much on the pool as far as like a water activity other than swimming. Like you could have done more waterfalls and more ways of utilizing water structures in the Sims to make this even more lively, but it wasn't really the point. I just wanted it to be a pool. And I'm going to be doing a lot next up that features a lot of water activity for Lion King characters and for your Sims. So I didn't want to overdo it on this lot because it's really the key feature of the one that's coming up next. And you guys hopefully be watching that very, very soon. I'm trying to get all these Lion King videos together and out for you before the holidays. And that is the watering hole. I hope you guys liked it. Let me know what you thought of it in the comment section down below. And if you would like to support the Disney Save on Patreon, you can do so by clicking the link in my description box down below or the one at the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and I will talk to you all in the next one.